All right, it's time to talk basketball. I'm Jose Salviati, editor at thepeachbasket.net. He is Steve Purciello, a longtime educator, vice principal, high school basketball coach, athletic director, and also the host of Celtic Chalk Talk. Celtic Chalk Talk is a pod dedicated to the latest news and opinions surrounding the Boston Celtics from a lifelong fan, Steve. The Celtic Chalk Pod and our show, the Shot Clock Pod, are both a part of the Peach Basket Podcast network of shows. We'll tell you a little bit more about that in the weeks to come. Celtic Chalk Talk Pod. We'll drop out new episodes every Monday, but this is the Shot Clock Pod, the best 24 minutes of NBA random thoughts online anywhere. This podcast was born out of the content in Steve's 13 Rules random NBA thoughts articles, which he publishes weekly. Steve and I have exactly 24 minutes to discuss what's on his mind around the NBA. Today we'll discuss his latest 13 Rules article, where he shares his thoughts after week 22 of the 2025-26 NBA season. Lots to talk about. And if you made it this far, we're grateful. Please consider liking, subscribing, commenting. All that means the world to us. Thank you in advance. Steve, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's do it. Was not ready myself, but I am now, and the clock is ticking. Let's go. We start with the MVP race. Now, I had some thoughts on the Run It Back show that we do about the MVP race, and I rattled off some contenders. Jokic is a contender. Luka is a contender. SGA is probably the lead contender after he broke Wilt's long-standing record. But you think somebody else is the MVP. Who gets your vote and why?
Wembanyama. It's a no-brainer. Shai is great. He affects the game on one end of the court. Wembanyama affects every game all over the court. How many times do you watch a game where guys are going to the basket and he's standing there and either they dribble it away or they kick it out? He doesn't get challenged that often. And in fact, I haven't looked at it, but I would think his block numbers might go down because nobody's going at him. Again, I haven't looked at it, but it just makes sense to me. Defensively, and then he can rebound, but defensively, he changes games like no other player. He's got to be also Defensive Player of the Year and unanimous. Now, offensively, a couple weeks ago against Boston, he had 8 threes. If he starts, he's only, I think, 36% from three. But if he starts doing that, there is nothing you can do to stop him. Because if you watch, sometimes he'll take the ball at mid-post, in other words, 5 feet below the foul line. He'll get the ball, and nobody can guard him. He could just turn around, face the basket, and shoot the ball. It's unstoppable. The only question is, will it go in or not? There's basically, outside of really beating him, meaning being very physical, there's really nothing you can do to stop him. And look at the team, what they've done last year. He was hurt for a lot of the year, but last year to this year, I mean, it's just incredible. And they're not out of getting the first seed. If you look at it logically, you have to say Wembanyama is the most. Again, and I'll say this to you: if you were going to pick one guy for your team, not starting a team, or one guy you'd want on your team, who would it be?
You want somebody that can do everything, to your point, right? So you want somebody that can score, impact both sides of the court, who can defend, who can rebound. And so with Wemby, you got check. Now, Jokic gives you all of that on the offensive side, and he's a better offensive player than Wemby.
Yeah.
No doubt. But Wemby's a better defensive player. Yeah, obviously it's a tough pick, but you go with the younger, complete player. I get your point. You'd pick Wemby.
Remember, defense wins championships.
Yeah.
And I think a couple of weeks ago I talked about, 4 or 5 teams were out of the top 10 to win a title in 30 years or something. It tells you what you want. And this guy, if he starts shooting the ball better, there's nothing you can do. The only thing you can hope for is he's having a bad night. It's the only way, you can shut him down.
Yeah, I know it's scary. And I know you got a chance to see him live, which I think definitely. Yeah. Let me ask it instead of assuming. Seeing him live, did that change your perspective? Does it impact you more watching this guy do it in front of your eyes?
There's a lot of interesting things. He plays hard all the time. Not every player does that. Just the fact that how much bigger he is than everybody else, it's incredible. And he's skilled for a 7'5", 7'6" man. And it just like when I saw him go to the mid post and he caught the ball and he turned, there's nothing any Celtic could have done to stop him. It's will the ball go in the basket or will it not? There's nothing else. And believe me, they were physical with him. It didn't matter. It didn't matter. And don't forget, he's still a kid. Wait till the body starts getting more muscle.
Right.
Then it's just going to be, there's nothing you can do to stop him. And to me, without question, and again, let's go back. If you take Jokic away from his team, there's a problem. If you take Wemby away from his team, there's a real big problem. Last year we saw it. I don't know. This year Jokic was out and Denver held their own. Shai was out and Oklahoma held their own.
That's a deep.
You think that'll happen if Wemby's out? Yeah. I just don't. I don't see an argument. I don't see. Who's your MVP?
I think it's. Listen, the MVP is going to be Shai. Mark it down. Lock it down.
I understand.
It's going to be Shai. My MVP. It depends on how you define it, right? The best scorer in the NBA is Luka Doncic. The best overall player is Nikola Jokic. The best player on the best team is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. You can make an argument that the best player is, using the term you just used, right? If you remove them from the team, which team collapses the most? The Los Angeles Clippers. Kawhi Leonard is that team. So you can make an argument he's an MVP.
Yeah, but they're a 500 team. We're talking about a team that's contending for a title.
100% get it. 100% get it. But if we're just laser focused on who's the player that if I take them away from the team tanks, you take Kawhi away from the Clippers are horrible. At least now they're a play-in team. So again, just using that criteria, my point is, what does MVP mean? Is it the best player on the best team? Is it the best overall player? And I haven't even talked about Wemby yet. Is it the guy who you take out and his team tanks? What's MVP mean? I don't know. And nobody can tell me. It depends. And the other thing you add into the mix, which has always bothered me about the MVP race, is LeBron James was the best player in the NBA from 2010 to 2020. He should have won 10. He didn't because of voter fatigue, right? I can't give a guy 10 MVPs if you deserve it. So a long answer to your short question, I don't know who the MVP is because I don't know what the MVP award is and who it's supposed to go to.
Okay, I just see this. And honestly, you just said about LeBron, this guy, if he stays healthy, will win the MVP every year.
Should win the MVP every year. But
he's more, and let me say this, and this is, really think about this one, this is going out there. He's more valuable a player than Jokic was over those couple of years. Think about that, because he affects the whole game. Everything about the game is around him. If you can get down to the fact that if they're pressured, he can come back, get the ball, and he can throw and wheel and throw passes off of that. And on any kind of full court pressure. There's everything he can do in a game. It's remarkable. And by the way, the last thing I'll say, the All-Star game, when he played hard and everybody else did, was indicative of who the new top dog in the NBA is. They followed his lead, not LeBron's lead.
No doubt. No doubt. And that was one of the most fun NBA All-Star games I've seen in years because of Wemby saying, no, I'm going to play. I'm going to play. This matters to me. And a great segue. You just set me up, so I'm going to get to it. You said it's not LeBron. There's a passing of the torch. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But I do want to call out. Now, you nailed it. Wemby's blocks are down this year. 3.6 is rookie year, 3.8 on average last year, and only 3 this year. And it's not because he's not out there blocking shots. It's because people aren't going up against him anymore. So it's a great call out. All right, you talked about the passing of the torch, LeBron kind of handing it over symbolically. That was obviously probably not something LeBron wanted to do. But now it's Wemby's. It's Wemby's moving forward. Same thing's happening with the Los Angeles Lakers. Right? It's the hottest team in the NBA right now. They're winning games. They're winning games against really good teams. Now, when they started, they were winning games, but they were winning against bad teams, losing against good teams. They really took them seriously, and I get it. I understand it. Now they're beating really good teams, and the team has changed. And I think it happened because of two reasons, and I want to get your thoughts on one because we talked a little bit about it. But one of the reasons is LeBron is taking a step back. This is Luka's team. He knows it now. He's okay to be the third wheel on this team. Another piece is, as it turns out, maybe Deandre Ayton is Clint Capella. He's fitting into that role, isn't he? You wrote about that.
I think what really was going on throughout this whole year was JJ Redick was frustrated that people wouldn't play the roles he wanted them to play.
Right.
And I think Ayton is the key person in that. Deandre Ayton was first pick or whatever in the draft. And he thinks of himself as a top dog. He makes big money. He got bought out by Portland. That didn't register with him, that he sat out and he didn't register. He always thought he was a top dog. He made the comment that he wasn't Clint Capella a couple of weeks ago, meaning they're trying to make me into a rebounder, a rim protector, and all those things, and a screener, and what a big man does. Right. And he wasn't happy. Slowly and suddenly, or maybe Redick put it straight to him, you're going to be out of the league if you continue with this attitude. But he has accepted it, and he does a lot of little things during a Laker game to win. Now, I think if the message got through to him, it got through to other guys on the team. So you're not hearing Rui Hachimura complain about not getting playing time, or Jake LaRavia getting less time than he was getting, because all of a sudden people are accepting and seeing if they accept what Redick believes, they can win. And I think that's a major thing. Now, do I think, and I think it's admirable, but do I think they can beat the big two, meaning Oklahoma and San Antonio? I don't think so. But you know what? They have a chance. And that's better than where they were 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Sure. Let's dive into that a little bit more because, again, it's the hottest team in the NBA. They're worth a little bit more time. If things stand the way they are right now, they're the number 3 team. They would meet the Denver Nuggets in the first round. That's not a great matchup for any team. Denver Nuggets are great.
That's always been the Lakers' kryptonite.
It has been. A lot of teams' kryptonite to end in Denver. Do you think they have a chance in the first round against the Denver Nuggets? Not a chance. Let me call it out. Are they going to beat the Nuggets in the first round?
I think they will. I think the Denver Nuggets are on the downslide. Not a major downslide, but they're not. Each year, the incremental drop has been there. And I think they will continue to do it. And the shame of that, and we're off the subject, but just let me mention one thing. The shame of that was a couple of years ago after they won the title, they didn't want to spend money. They didn't want to keep Bruce Brown and those people. That's when they could have won a second. Now I think it's beyond that, and I think Denver is just, they're good, but they're not great. And they always have Jokic, but I think the Lakers would beat them in a series.
Outstanding. All right. Yeah, I think it'll be, these are two grizzled veteran teams, but yeah, I think right now, as things stand the way they are right now, the Lakers have the edge. That's
just one interesting thing to add to this, and just think about this. What happens if the Lakers decide, because they've had trouble guarding Jokic, decide to guard him with LeBron?
Sure. Why not?
That would be interesting. First of all, you're telling LeBron you've become the ultimate role player, but also you're asking him to do something he's never been. He can guard people, of course, but he's never been that interested. And in the last couple of years, his defense has slackened off.
Sure.
So it would be, because the Lakers have always had a problem guarding Jokic.
Yeah. Like the entire association.
Yeah, but they've lost in the playoffs because of Jokic. Not being able to. They tried Rui a couple of years ago, and they thought that was going to work, and wow, that was not good.
I'll tell you another reason why I think that's a great fit and something that's probably on JJ Redick's whiteboard. The thing that makes Jokic such a good player is that he sees things and thinks differently than every other player out there, right? He'll see a pass that nobody else sees, and he'll make that pass that nobody else sees. He sees the game differently, like most greats do, like Magic Johnson, like Larry Bird, all the all-time greats. They just saw the game different, man, which is why it was men amongst boys. But I'll tell you something. LeBron James sees the game the same way Jokic does. So who better to defend him than LeBron?
It's just an idea. It's crazy. But it makes it interesting. It would
Yeah,
make it very interesting. There are
agreed.
certain players in the league, and I'm going to use Derrick White as one. Athletically, he's not athletic. As a ball handler, he's at best average. But you know what? He makes great decisions,
Yeah,
and he always makes winning plays.
yeah,
And there's something in he's not Jokic. There's no comparison, but there's something in people like that. Jokic, of course, makes good decisions. And Derek White, and again, there's a lot of players like that. I just thought of him as an example,
yeah,
but does the same things. He doesn't have Jokic's abilities, obviously, but there's certain athletes that, and again, White is not athletic, but he does things when it's needed, and he's just got a clutch gene or has. Some
yeah,
athletes have that.
yeah. And every NBA champion in the history of ever has had that kind of player, right? You just need that guy. And Derek White is that, certainly. And sometimes you got that and you're great, Nikola
Yeah,
Jokic.
yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about another great guy. You wrote lots of things. We're not going to be able to get to all of them, and that's not the intent. We want you to read Steve's entire article. We'll link it wherever you're watching or reading this now. But you wrote about Cade Cunningham, right? The Detroit Pistons were riding high. This is a contender. They're the best team in the East, and it was everybody else was second. And then this happened. Such a weird injury. I can't remember that if there's ever been a collapsed lung in an NBA game. First time I heard of it, when I heard that it happened, I thought, oh, he was in a car accident or something. I didn't know it happened during a game. It's so wild. But you said that, listen, Detroit, it might be okay. It may not be the worst thing in the world. What's the silver lining for the Pistons?
They're up by, I believe they've got 4 losses ahead of Boston, and I think 6 over the Knicks. And they own a tiebreaker against both of them. So it would take a total collapse. What is there, 11 games left? And if you think about it, let's say they go 4-7. Boston would have to go 10-2. And yeah, it's possible, but that doesn't sound too good. And the Knicks would even have to do better because they're further behind. So I don't see them losing the first seed, which is good, although they'd have to play Cleveland, and that's not going to be easy. But if Cade comes back and is able to be healthy in the playoffs, meaning he doesn't have to recalibrate, meaning he's got to get himself back into better and everything's fine, they'll be in the same situation
Yeah.
they were in. Now, the interesting thing is, I believe he needs to play 5 or 6 games to make All NBA. I think you got to play 20 minutes or more in a game. And the last game, he's got 61 games he played, but the last game he only played 5 minutes when he got injured. So he needs, I think, 5 games to make All NBA. I don't know if he's going to be back. Now, what does that do? This is the worst thing that could happen if he comes back and plays healthy. Detroit, he loses first team All League. He loses being a top 4 MVP vote getter. He loses all the honors that should have come to him.
Yeah, but that's individual. Who cares?
I think for guys like that, Jaylen Brown is another one this year. These kind of seasons, they don't come every year.
I got you.
If we were to talk about, Cade Cunningham will be first or second team All NBA forever. But being that close in the MVP race, they don't happen every year. There's going to be people, again, Shai won it last year. We talked about the MVP. There's going to be people who say, wait a minute, this guy from Detroit, look at what they did. They've turned it around completely. Why wouldn't I give him votes as the MVP of the league? So it's just, those kind of years. For Luka, they come along all the time. For Jokic, they come along all the time. I don't know if Cade will have these kind of years every year.
Got it. Yeah. Yeah, we're bundling it into maybe Bam's 83-point game. It doesn't come along that often. You got to
That's
ride
right.
it for all it's worth. I got you. All right. Again, lots of great topics. Where time is winding down. I want to give a little bit of time to this one because I'm just fascinated by this and I'm curious to get your thoughts. The NBA it looks like it's expanding. It's pretty much a certainty now. The Sonics coming back, most likely. And then the weird thing for me is a team in Vegas. Now, you wrote about this. It wasn't that long ago when there was a pariah. Like, nobody was going to touch Las Vegas for obvious reasons with a pro team. Now they've got a soccer team, they've got a hockey team, they've got the WNBA, they've got the Oakland A's are coming, and now it looks like the NBA is coming. What changed? Why is Vegas
Very
the
simple.
destination it is
It's
now?
very
Go ahead.
simple. Gambling's legal. You don't have to go to Vegas to make a bet.
There you
You can
go.
do it anywhere. From my couch, I can sit and get on a site and make a bet on a game. Before, the fear was illegal, the gambling in Vegas and all that. So that opened up the whole thing for Las Vegas and made them a place. And don't forget, just about every athlete loves to go to Vegas. Where else could a 22-year-old with a lot of money to throw away go and enjoy their time? So teams and players don't mind having to go to Vegas. I would think it's a no-brainer they will get there. I think the thing that really interests me is Seattle. If you've been to Seattle, I've been there a few times.
Yeah.
If you've ever been there, Key Arena, they fixed it. It's by the needle, whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
and it looks better. But you really, when you talk to people there or whatever, there's broken heart that they lost the Seattle Sonics,
Yeah.
Supersonics, or whatever you want to say. But this is something that just belongs in the NBA. It's been almost 20 years, and it's a shame. They deserve a team. They deserve to come back. And I think the NBA should have moved quicker than 20 years later, 18 years, whatever it is, later. But that is the thing that I want to see badly. Last piece on that, you got to think about this. That means if two teams come in there, one team from the West has got to go become an Eastern Conference team. Now, Minnesota,
Yep.
Memphis,
New
or
Orleans.
New Orleans. And one of them will become an Eastern team, which will
Yep.
be interesting because I'm sure with Anthony Edwards being pretty good, they're not the Eastern Conference owners aren't going to want any part of Minnesota coming over.
Yeah, it's funny because great minds think alike. I'm looking at the map now of NBA teams by conference. And yeah, the westernmost team are the Minnesota Timberwolves. So that makes the most sense to move them, or maybe to keep them makes the most sense. The easternmost are the Memphis Grizzlies. Maybe move
Yeah.
them. And with the Pelicans, pretty much almost a straight line. But the reshuffling is going to be interesting. I'm going to say this. Yes, I've been, and we could have ended it there and been perfect, but on we go. I've been to Seattle. I got family in Seattle. I love Seattle. And you're right, man. That is a broken heart for the people of Seattle. Not only did they have an NBA team, they had a really good NBA team with great history, great players, and an NBA championship. And so I would be super excited, and not just because I watched a game with the Supersonics years ago as a kid.
Yeah.
I would love to go back and do that again. And the NBA romanticist in me would like to see Kevin Durant finish his career where he was drafted. I just think that would be epic.
I agree. I had a soft spot. I like the city, but I always had a
Yeah.
soft spot for the Seattle Sonics going way back. And going back to when Bill Russell coached them. I've always had that, and I've always liked them. But when I could start Slick Watts and all the other players that played with them, I could start naming Tom Burleson. There's a name for you. This is going back into the 70s. But
Yeah.
yeah, it has always been a nice spot for them. And you'd
Yeah.
like to see the NBA come full circle.
Yep, it would be great. And then, just out of curiosity, I'm going to leave you with this. There is no official, obviously, because it hasn't been made official. There's no official NBA team for the Vegas team, but there are names rolling around. They will be either, more than likely, the Las Vegas Spades, the Las Vegas Venom, kind of like that, the Las Vegas High Rollers to really feed into that gambling thing, the Las Vegas Gamblers, or the Las Vegas Crown. Any of those kind of
Well,
fit for you?
if you think about it, and not, those things are nice, but if you think about this, if like most teams, their fan base is loyal fans. In Vegas, who's the loyal fan?
Oh yeah, yeah, exactly. Vegas is a commuter city, right? For the most part. So yeah, that's gonna be the tricky part for any Vegas team. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
that's the interesting thing. If you're a Atlanta Hawk fan, you're not moving, or you're not going away, or you're not where Vegas people come in, people go out
Yeah,
every few days. So
yeah.
it's a little different.
Yeah, perfect spot for the Las Vegas Raiders. I forgot the NFL is there too now because the Raiders have always had commuter fans, right? Because they moved around so much.
True.
But it is going to be very interesting to see what happens for the NBA, not just in Vegas, but in Seattle, and then of course with the conference shifting around like it's going to have to. But that's it. You heard the buzzer go off. Another shot clock violation for Steve and I. That's okay. Our time is up. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Make sure to read Steve's entire 13 Rules Random NBA Thoughts article, which again we'll link below wherever you're watching or listening to this show. There are other topics that we did not get to, including, let's see, the case for a shorter season, Jaylen Brown, leadership approach, which Steve wrote about. And then the Houston Rockets. Houston, we have a problem. They're imploding a little bit in March. Read all about that in Steve's article and join us next week for more NBA Random Thoughts as we recap week number 23 as the week is, or rather the NBA season is winding down. We'll talk then. Thanks, Steve.